Hi there, kids.
Question 1, who are we? No, but we are Imperishable, right? From Sweden.
I'm Robin. This is Chris. We play guitar in Imperishable from Gothenburg, Sweden. We play death metal.
And we're about to answer some fucking questions from you booger picking assholes.
Check out our new album, Come Sweet Death.
Out on Hammerheart Records.
Right now. Alright, question number 2. What's the story or significance behind the band name Imperishable? It's actually taken from a Bible quote. I guess it's the book of Corinthians. I'm not sure because I'm not a Satanist. But I guess the actual verse is what is sown is perishable and what is raised is imperishable. And when I read imperishable, I realized that I had never seen that word in any context, whatever. But and I started to Google it, and I checked Metal Archives, which is a great source of information because every band that ever released a demo is on there. So and no band ever claimed the name Imperishable, so I thought
May this be.
It's like, here you are.
I guess some members of like Nile did something, right? That never amounted to anything.
And I didn't realize that until later, but
oops.
I guess.
Where are they now?
I haven't heard anything from them in recent years, so I guess it's
up for grabs.
I can't imagine we play the same style whatsoever, and they're from Florida and we're from Sweden, so
I mean, we could call the band fucking Death Crypt Bloodhound or something.
Yeah.
Someone would already have gone for it.
Yeah.
It's
not a problem.
No.
So yeah, that's the band name Imperishable, and actually it's kind of the lyrics and the band name kind of click together because the word imperishable meaning you are pretty much indestructible, and the lyrics are about addiction and death and all hell that goes with it, and it's like you think you are imperishable when you drink, and we do that every day pretty much. So it's kind of it sums up every detail in the lyrics in one word, you could say.
You live for the day basically and do what you feel like doing in order to be imperishable in the moment.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so question number 3. Can you share some insights into the creative process behind Comes With Death? Well, like I said before, no.
I can't.
Why?
Secret.
The creative process is very simple. I write riffs, I send them to Niklas, my brother, who's also playing the drums in the band. He records drums, arranges, sends it back to me. Then most of the time I come with, feedback or correct this, change that, whatever. But sometimes I won't even have to correct something because we have that telepathy thing going, the Van Halen Dimebag Vinny thing going. I send him things and he knows what I planned. So I don't even have to explain to him what to do because he already knows. So, and that's the way we wrote this whole record. We never rehearsed.
Just went into the studio and knocked out the tracks.
Yeah, and we booked the studio before we had any record deal, so we did it for us, and I guess in the end that's all that matters because it wouldn't be good if we didn't believe in ourselves in this music. And
yeah, like doing a record, not being sure if it's good or not, based on whether or not you have a record deal. I mean, that's not the way to go
that's
for
never
this
good.
band,
No.
at least.
And then in the end, of course, when we have the music, put the tape or pre-production demo or whatever, I write some lyrics, and then me and Henke,
The vocalist.
yeah, the singer, he usually he comes with great ideas when it comes to phrasing and stuff. I usually have most of it in my head when we start recording and when we get together and start working on the material. But he usually changes some words, or he rearranges sentences or whatever. But he has great ideas about arranging vocals, and yeah, so he's been a great help, and he does everything one take, so he's great.
One of those guys. That's it.
Yep. Okay, so question number 4. What themes and emotions did you explore in this release? Well, for starters, I think we thought from the beginning that we wouldn't do the normal gore type thing, which is common in death metal, because I believe that everyday life is scary enough to yeah, so why not portray that way in the lyrics instead? I think it's more honest and more real. But I guess the main topic is addiction, of course, and death, and yeah, all that comes with it, the misery and the everyday pain,
Anxiety.
It's a never-ending source of inspiration, and the opposite some days, because it's real, man. It's it's no walk in the park. And I guess the emotion overall in this release is maybe just for me, but a great sadness about a lot of things. But my main thing is my I have an extreme fear of dying. I guess it
lends itself to lyrical content. I mean,
yeah,
most people can relate to that.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, probably. I never, have had any doubts that life would be hard, but the main thing is that my fear of dying is. I think you can hear it in the music as well. It's like a sense of longing for a time that has passed, and that someday you will die. That's the only thing we know for sure. Everyone is gonna die, and everyone you know is gonna die. And it just freaks me out. And that's what the lyrics are about, mainly.
There you go.
And then it's, of course, a lot of metaphors, a lot of cool metal warrior words to yeah, because I don't want the lyrics to sound like a fucking AA meeting. It's not that. It's not only, as long as it's not gore and pointless shit.
For Satanism. Yeah. The stereotypical stuff. We hate that shit. Alles gut.
Right, question number 5. Could you give us some background on the album cover art and how it connects to the music?
The album cover art, and I guess most of the artwork, besides like this Grim Reaper, right, was done by our good old friend Andreas Sandberg.
Andreas
Sandberg. He used to sing in this band After Living Dead that I actually I took over as vocalist after him, but
You succeeded him.
I succeeded him. I usurped his throne.
You usurped
The
this
usurper.
motherfucking ass.
He is a very talented artist, and he works with that stuff, I guess you could say, and he has done album artwork for Blaze Bailey, amongst others. Mini metal. And he's a dear old friend of ours, and we stay in touch with each other regularly. And once we got around to needing cover artwork for Come Sweet Death, we asked him, obviously. And you had this dream, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I had a terrible nightmare.
About dying, obviously.
Yeah, I fell off. I worked at the time. I worked as a metal roofer.
Metal roofer!
Metal roofer
Unite!
for you German fans out there. And I had a dream where I fell off the roof and died. That's it.
Yeah. So he had that to work with, like the stuff that you saw in your vision there, right? But also, I mean, he's a bit older than us. I mean, and he grew up around Stockholm, going to shows, seeing this member. I mean, he has his finger very much on the pulse, you can say, about what that whole, I mean, the aesthetics of this music is all about. So obviously having like a waterfall of some sorts has to be in there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool looking colors, but also he likes to do stuff that is a bit, maybe not the obvious as well. I mean, the colors, I guess, are, I mean, I'm not quite sure if I have seen them before in some sort of context revolving around Swedish death metal. I think they're quite unique to our album cover. The blue, I mean, the troubled sky in the background and everything, it's quite suggestive, I guess. And
yeah, and the only thing we talked about before regarding color setting and feel is that, I mean, we're all big Metallica and Iron Maiden fans, so of course Live After Death and Red Lightning played a big role in, you know, if it isn't obvious to you, then
I guess you should check out some other channel.
I'm sorry for you. Yeah, maybe we'll prøve. All right, question number 6, I believe. How has your cooperation with Hammerheart Records been, and how did it influence the album's production? Well, the cooperation with Hammerheart has been great. We couldn't ask for more.
I guess they trusted us with delivering a quality album, and I hope they weren't disappointed. I don't think they were.
I don't think
we was disappointed. It's one of those things, you know. He heard the EP first and knew the pedigree of the band and everything. So I mean, things have been smooth sailing. You know, nothing else to say about that whole thing.
And I mean, the whole album and the studio was booked before we even got in touch with Hammerheart, and luckily enough, they contacted us right before we went into the studio, and I mean, we would have done it anyway, but it's always nice to have someone pay
the bills.
Yeah.
No. It's nice to have like a decent record company to release your stuff, and with that comes, you know, some degree of exposure as well, and they the label in itself has its own fan base. So if they release albums, whether it be like a Blind Illusion re-release or reissue, whatever it is, or Trouble, like that's one of my old favorite
and
bands.
The thing that catch my eye was when they contacted us. One of my, you know, one album that kind of made me who I am is it's a Swedish band called Hypnosia.
Yeah.
They released an album called Extreme Hatred in 2000, released on Hammerheart Records, and just that fact alone made me realize that just go for it.
It's a classic label, you know, and we're not doing like top 40 pop music here, so the most important thing is like finding like a good home for everything and having like a good open channel of communication, I guess, and which we
Yeah.
do have with Guido, so it's all good.
Yeah, Guido and Wouter and Marianne, great people.
So
All right, next question. In your opinion, is having a label deal crucial in today's music industry?
crucial music industry. I don't know what is what here, but obviously we're doing kind of underground music. We're playing death metal.
Crucial taunt.
Crucial taunt, fucking Cassandra. It's
Swing!
it depends on what you want to achieve with your music. We're quite honest about wanting this band to go places and play stages where people actually get to see and experience the band and release albums that people get to hear. So in that way, I guess a label really helps because you're associated with some sort of, yeah, I mean, a backstory. As if you talk about Hammerheart Records specifically, I mean, they have like a place in the business, so that really helps, I guess, as far as, I mean, being visible in metal mags and, you know, whole page ads or whatever. And if someone just Googles one other band on our label, they will, if they follow those links, they will get to see our ugly faces someplace. and so it's an associated kind of thing. And if you just start out with nothing from square one and you get an Instagram account and you start hashtagging, I mean, we're not super old dudes, but we are a bit too old to have started like that. You know, we actually had like this thing where you
My name is Geezer and this is Butler.
yeah. So, I mean, we're not old tape traders, but we had this thing called MySpace back in the day.
When it was good.
And other internet forums where it was very niched who you attracted to your page or whatever, and I mean, you guys like Anthrax too, cool, and then you almost like built this little nerd scene, and things happen from there. But I can only imagine being left at the mercy of Instagram and Facebook in those days, and at that age with like a 2-song demo, and I mean, it would have been a disaster, I think.
Yeah.
Who's gonna take care of this, and who's gonna hashtag the right hashtags? I mean, having a label really helps, I would say. And but if you don't have a label and you have a band, don't give up. I mean, put up music that you believe in, and make sure that if someone actually hears that music, whether it be on Instagram, whatever, they're gonna find it as cool as you do. So that's the start.
Yeah, and the thing is that you don't need a record label. You don't need
not to make records.
You
No.
don't need Bandcamp.
No.
You don't need Spotify. You don't need social media. Blah blah blah. But if you don't need them, no one will fucking know you exist.
That's it.
So
that could be cool too. If you're
like
from Norway, it's cool. If no one knows that you exist, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like everything else. It's a way of reaching out.
Yeah. Reach out. Be happy with that answer.
Right. When did you first start listening to death metal, and what led you to discover and become a fan of the genre?
I first heard death metal at a friend's place when he played me first Corrosion of Conformity, Monster Magnet, and then he played me I Come Blood by Cannibal Corpse. And I guess I was 13 or 14 years old or something like that.
No contest.
No, they were heavier. I'm a massive fan of Corrosion of Conformity, though. But that was my first introduction to death metal, and I have to be honest, that wasn't quite what got me. I was way too big of a fan of like Metallica and Pantera and Sepultura and stuff like that before. And I'm talking like thrash era Sepultura now. I didn't hear death metal stuff until later. But then I went to the city library, and they had a CD section there, and I usually went and got CDs there and taped them at home at my tape deck, copied them, and they had Left Hand Path by Entombed.
You fucking thief.
Yeah. I mean, I returned them. It was a library. So yeah, Left Hand Path. I remember the opening song, and in and of itself, it's of course, in all of its brutal glory, a masterpiece. But once that ending section kicked in with the Phantasm theme, and I was like, what is this? It's like listening to a horror movie soundtrack. I had never quite experienced that. And of course, I've been listening to Slayer and everything, but they didn't have that cinematic kind of, cool vibe that, and especially Entomb went for. I guess that's Nick Anderson kind of thing. But yeah, I was hooked on Entomb. Then I got all of their stuff, and then I was led, to all of their compatriots, I guess, in the scene, like with Dismember and everything. And so that's how it started. It was very much a Swedish kind of vibe for me when I really got into it.
Yeah, for me as well. It's I don't actually remember which band or which song I first heard that you could call death metal. I was listening a lot to maybe 6th, 7th grade. I listened.
I thought you were gonna say 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under. No. But I was maybe 12, 13, something like that. I listened a lot to In Flames, and you can say whatever the fuck you want about In Flames, but the first albums are great. And I believe I listened to those records like Jester Ace and Horacle and Lunar Strain, of course, and Subterranean. But I believe the first real death metal I heard was Slaughter of Soul by At the Gates. The song Cold. And I remember hearing that song the first time. It was like a revelation. The brutality and the melody at the same time, which I don't know what to say other than that. It was unreal. The experience, it's like you can't experience that once more. It's and then of course after that I remember a friend of mine showing me Decapitated's first album, Polish band Decapitated, and then of course Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse and the like. And so that was the first glimpse. And then of course when I was 14, I discovered Death, which still is maybe my favorite band apart from Metallica. It's just every album is unique in its own way. No bad song, no bad riff. It's just pure fucking genius.
Yeah, I remember getting Scream Bloody Gore and 7 Churches by Possessed in the same CD, or the ordered CDs from this company in Sweden.
Ginza.
Yeah. So I listened to those two couple of albums like religiously for a couple of months, along with like Voivod and Celtic Frost. But yeah, but that was like backtracking because I was already so way into like Entomb and stuff. So it's like that, when you're not a very old fart, just semi-old farts like us, we sometimes come into old music from the sides. Does that make sense in English?
All right. If you could change one thing about the music industry, what would it be?
I want money.
Money.
No, but if we are to sit here and like make a wish list for stuff that you could change in the music industry, obviously it would be kind of cool to have an album that we believe in as much as we do, and see like some sort of potential way of making a living out of playing the music that we do. And it doesn't have to be full time, but the way things work these days, especially with this kind of music, there is no like real income for the bands. So that means we have to have full-time bullshit jobs and only do this on our spare time and free time and whatever it's called. But in a way, I guess that keeps us hungry or whatever. But it would be nice to know that you could actually book a tour or whatever and not have to worry about even breaking even, or do we have enough merchandise to sell, or is the venue gonna want to cut off the merch and everything, all the bullshit that goes on?
I can say that if we play a venue and they will have a cut of the merch, I won't sell any fucking merch because they I'm not cheap. I throw money at
stuff that you like.
Yeah. And I don't like fucking cheap motherfucking venue promoters or whatever you call them. It's no way. So
but we're not stupid. We know that even back when Entombed played shows in '91, they didn't make money, but because of the nature of the music, it's not like that. But they could, in a perfect world, will up being fucked over by a label, or this is Entombed specific. They could have at least gotten home with some pocket change. But this is a kind of music that has no real potential for being like a monetary income whatsoever. So this is just an answer to that question. If we could change one thing, I mean, that would be nice, right? Otherwise, it is what it is. It's just, what am I gonna change? I hate stupid bands. Go away. I mean, that's stupid.
But like you said, it would be nice to be not working 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
Doing something completely
unrelated.
Something else that you don't like.
Yeah.
If I had 50 hours a week to write music, Jesus Christ.
You guys would have a lot of music to listen to. There you go.
But if the funny thing is that the bands from the 80s and 90s, they don't know how lucky they are. I mean, it's fucking impossible to have a career now.
Yeah, it is.
Because, I mean, with technology and the internet and everything, people are better musicians than ever, but fewer people are actually living on their craft and doing what they do, because
that's the nature of the industry. I mean,
because there's a middle hand taking this
streaming
portion of every fucking dollar you make. It's ridiculous. If you buy from Bandcamp, it's like they take
commission or something.
It's ridiculous. I don't even.
There's always someone in between who wants to make money, and I mean, if we could change anything, that would be it. So yeah, that's our answer. We're crying here.
Buy things from the band.
Now.
All right, so I have 2 questions for Chris here.
Yeah, and I've read them in beforehand, so I know they tie into each other. So I'm gonna do mine.
Could you share some of the most exciting moments from your time with Dr. Living Dead? And have you encountered any memorable epic fails during live performances?
Never. I mean, there's a lot of cool stories and everything, but I won't bore you with them. The one that really impacted my life the most is we were scheduled to play this, and we played the show back in 2015. We just released Crush the Sublime Gods, and we had this huge indoor arena show in Munich, Germany. I think it was called Rockavaria or something like that, like Bavaria. And I mean, get this, like the bill was Kiss, Faith No More, Turbo Negro. It was just cool bands that I enjoyed growing up, and we were playing like at 11 a.m. and I mean, I remember getting to the airport at like 6 or 7, starting to drink beer, and I was young and indestructible, and went up on stage, no warm up, whatever, and just running around this huge scene. It was a good crowd, We were like the first band of the day, obviously, but like 3 or 4 songs in, I just remember feeling like someone ran past me and like kicked me really hard in the foot, and I was pissed and looked around at my band members who fucked up like that, and I couldn't like support myself on this foot of mine. My right foot was like dangling like this, so my Achilles tendon had actually ruptured. It was torn. It wasn't ruptured, it was torn. Is the right word in English. And so I finished the show with one foot up, propped up on a monitor, just standing like this, and I like pull myself off stage, and there's pictures of this because there was this one photographer who followed me with a camera, like limping backstage. And paramedics, I mean, because it was a big festival and everything, so they had a very good organization and everything. So paramedics followed me backstage and talked to me about my foot, and they said immediately that your Achilles tendon is just like, it's off. So they drove me to a hospital, and I was there for 2 days. They actually performed surgery on my foot, and I remember lying there in bed and thinking, okay, so now Faith No More are playing, okay, Kiss are playing now. I could be backstage hanging out, you know, being the rock star and everything. But I was lying there in this fucking German hospital. The staff didn't even speak English, aside from the surgeon. And so yeah, that's like a high, but also very much a low, because I'm still like, I mean, if you see me walking, I don't think you see me like limping, but I can't like go for a jog in the morning without warming up like a motherfucker. You know, I have to really stretch, and because the tendon is much
Why
shorter.
would you?
I mean, why would I go for a run? I have beer at home and everything, so yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So what about you? Do you remember anything? No?
No.
Okay, so thanks. Something? Nothing fun? No?
No, I just I have epic fails every gig because I can't play my solos right. But that's not too fun to
Listen to.
talk about.
But some touring stuff. I mean, no vans breaking down, the classic stuff getting ripped off.
No.
Money. No.
I've
sailing.
I've been fortunate.
You can
so
show me
far.
a bloody guitar here. Your hands always tear while playing, so this is like old grime and blood. I don't know if you can see it. Like treble strings around the bridge there. I mean, it's a proper bloodbath, man.
It's a massacre.
It's a massacre.
It's a massacre.
There you go.
That's it. I'm boring. Next. Yes. Are there any recent music or movies that have deeply impressed you?
I guess I'm very bad at checking out new bands. I mean, this is it's a terrible answer, but as far as coming up with a decent answer for this question, I just recently listened to the re-recordings of Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions by Cavalera. And have you heard them?
No, not yet.
I mean, they were actually quite decent. It was a fun listen. It was cool to hear those songs with like a proper drum kit and everything. Now that Igor can play, because those first albums are just, I mean, they're kind of bizarre, and they have their charm, of course. But it was cool to hear that there's actually quite, I mean, decent songs behind there. And Max actually sings kind of good on these albums, and they still have this huge boomy reverb on his vocals, so it sounds kind of like tongue-in-cheek, old school, and everything. But it was a good listen, and I think if I see the vinyl, I will probably pick him up.
Nice.
That's for me.
I can't say I have discovered anything recently. I'm too busy with other stuff.
You're writing new stuff for Imperishable.
Yeah, and the few moments I have to spend on music, I spend it on writing new stuff. So, like I said, I'm boring, but I'm doing it for the fans.
There you go.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the future of death metal as a genre? I guess nowadays people in general are not impressed in speed or brutality or stuff like that. I guess the way we could evolve in death metal as a genre is it's melodic language or something to that something to that in that regard, and because whatever you do, it's like 10 Japanese guys do it better on YouTube. It's it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, like the extreme aspect of death metal is no longer in, as he said, like in how fast you play or how much you detune your guitar or how brutal the guitar sound is. Those are just part of the aesthetics now. The point, I guess, is in like writing good tunes and like catchy stuff, dare I say. I mean, stuff that you remember. Having songs on an album that actually don't sound the same, all of them being like this generic death metal sound, but all you do is, I mean, you have the HM2 pedal, we do as well, but if that is your selling point and you don't have any songs, I mean it's only gonna go that far with the listeners. So the future lies within the bands and okay, so what was the number of the question?
What are your thoughts on the future of death metal as a genre?
We've been talking about this a bit, and I think we, for the sake of extremity, I mean, being the fastest band or the heaviest band or the most brutal guitar sound that has been done for like 30 years ago or something like that, I mean, it's over. I mean, the most complex band or the most evil band, I mean, those things aren't interesting for fans or listeners anymore. So it's about writing good songs, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you can say.
It's like, I can show you my dick. Is it bigger than yours? Yeah, probably.
Or maybe not.
What's the fucking point?
Who cares? I know he does, but
maybe.
No, but seriously, having like songs that you remember, having an album full of songs that all sound the same, and your whole selling point is just having the HM2 pedal, and then you sit there being like a grumpy old 48-year-old with, I mean, sweatpants on, and just. I mean, writing songs about mutilating hookers is where's it taking the listener? I mean, having like this whole vibe around your music, trying to create an atmosphere and like involving the listener and making them feel something. And I know I'm sounding like a fucking hippie right now, but the death metal stuff that I return to, it's the same music that got me. It's the same albums that got me into death metal.
And it's the deep stuff.
Yeah, it's the deep stuff.
It's like
it is. It's death and it's dissection and it's stuff like that,
Very kort svar. Can you describe the current death metal scene in Gothenburg? There is none.
There is none.
What's your top favorite death metal album of all time and why?
I can say one just for the sake of having an answer. I guess fuck me. I'm gonna have to say Left Hand Pathway and Tomb, but that's not. I mean, it might as well be Scream, Bloody Gore, or Leprosy.
I don't know. Covenant, Morbid Angel.
There you
go. What plans do you have for the future of Imperishable? Yeah, writing more songs.
Yeah.
Record the next album.
Trying to book some shows. I mean, getting out there and making people aware of the fact that we exist and hearing our stuff.
Yeah. Playing comes with death in front of people. Yeah. It's been great so far, but we want to do it again.
Yeah.
As often as we can.
Sure.
Any message for death metal promotion channel subscribers? Well, yeah, if you like a band, buy their shit directly from them. That's very important because we wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have supporters.
Any support? No, I mean that's the key thing. If you find this band on YouTube and especially on this channel, I guess, and you like that stuff, like for real, it moves you, and if you just browse on, and just forget about that moment or whatever, I mean, then you have the power to really support bands and and make them feel like the stuff that they're doing is worth something to someone. It's not so much about that small amount of money for a t-shirt. It's just the fact that someone on the other side of the world wants to have a t-shirt or a cassette or something that you have written and produced and recorded and everything. So it means the world to the bands. So that's the way to go about if you want to support the scene. You know, make sure the bands feel it. You know, right?
Yeah, and art wouldn't exist without the spectator.
There you go.